So really excited to be here. Thanks for having me. We're going to be talking about branding today and how to make sure that your brand stands out so that you can sell more of your product in an easier way, right? How good does that sound? If we can sell more at a higher price with more ease, and all of that does come from having a great brand. So let's first dive into it. If I throw up this slide here, we've got, I don't know about you guys, coffee drinkers here. We've got 4 cups of coffee. If I throw them all on a table for you guys, you're probably not going to have any preference which one you're going to take, right? You're going to take the one that's maybe closest to you. That's about it, right? There is no real rhyme or reason for which one you are going to pick up. However, if we put something with a coffee with all of these different logos on it, if there's any Canadians, your Tim Hortons, we've got Dunkin' Donuts, we've got Starbucks, we've got Second Cup, variety of different coffee brands, your local coffee house, all of these out there. If you know that all of those coffees that we just saw are from these different brands, you're going to think differently about which one you pick up. And while oftentimes we do think that it is, the taste is different, yes. But you are also going to be selecting the one that has the brand that best represents you, right? Represents you, represents the type of person you are, represents the type of products that you buy. And I want us to remember that, because our brands are an extension of our audience, and they really are buying your brand because it connects with them in some way, shape, or form. And so for us to drive more sales, we do really want to make sure that we have a brand that actually truly connects with them at a deeper level, because otherwise we end up with just a bunch of coffee or cookies or jerky or soup or whatever it is that you are selling. Because realistically, most of us are selling more or less the same thing on the inside, whatever that product is. What is going to get people to pick you up, choose you over everyone else, is your brand. And this is not a piece to be overlooked if we do want to grow within this industry. So people are more likely to choose and pay more from brands that they trust, right? So this is a really, really key piece. 54% of people said that they'd be willing to pay more for a product or service from a brand that they trust. Now, having a brand that people trust means that it needs to connect with them. We want to show up in a consistent way. And the way I always like to remind people is like, do you look like you belong next to the most, successful food and beverage brands in the category, right? If you were in a grocery store, you are literally sitting on shelf next to brands that have been established for a long time, have that really high trust, that honestly have really, really big budgets to be able to get themselves there, to build up that brand. And so if we are competing with those brands, and we are also competing with them online as well, we need to make sure that we look, feel, act in a certain way that gives people trust, especially as more and more sales are also online, direct to consumer, right? That level of trust needs to be even higher, because the trust from Whole Foods, Giant Eagle, my local shop that I trust, that trust halo from those brands aren't extended to your brand. You're just a brand on the internet, right? And so it's even more important that we build a brand that people trust and they connect with online, so that they feel comfortable giving you their hard-earned money over the World Wide Web, and they know that they're actually going to get a really great product. Because at the end of the day, while people are buying what's on the inside, that coffee, that cookie, that soup, whatever it may be, they're really buying your brand. And that is something that is really, really key for us to remember, that people buy brands over and over and over again, right? Whether it be the first time that they are buying or whether it be continuously coming back, especially that first purchase, really, really key, because they haven't tasted how delicious your product is. They don't know how great it is. So you need to have a way to actually connect with them and get them to believe in you and get them to say, ooh, this product is for me. This brand is for me. And then when the product delivers, which I'm sure it will, then your great tasting product or health focused product, whatever that may be, plays into them coming back over and over and over again. But we really do want to build that trust to be able to get them there. So real quick before we dive into things, my name is Ainsley Moir. Great to be here with you guys. I founded the Healthy Food and Beverage Group in 2018. I work with emerging food and beverage brands to help them launch, grow, and scale. Everything is focused from a brand strategy lens, because I really do believe that your brand makes the hugest difference in terms of everything that we do in our business. And it makes selling far easier. It makes profitability a lot easier as well. I'm the host of the Food Founders podcast. If you guys ever want to listen to some great food founder stories, hear about some battle wounds, hear about some successes, that's a great place to get that. And again, brand is really at the core of everything, which is why I wrote the book, Branding Beyond Logos. And I'm a nature and camp lover. So was I excited to come to Camp Castiron? Absolutely. This is me hiking a volcano at about 9,000 feet. It was very high altitude. I could not breathe very well, but I threw on the backpack. I did it. Camping is a thing that I love to do. I love to be outdoors in nature. And I really actually, when I'm hiking and being in nature, I actually think of it just like our business in so many different ways. It is all a journey to that end destination, and our brand becomes like the summit to what we are trying to hike. What are we going after? And we need to really have that as our focal point so that we stick on the right path that is going to actually get us to the summit of where we want to go. So if we want to create a brand that is going to empower moms to enjoy great cookie making, then we need to stick on that path, and we need to be really ruthless. Otherwise, we end up veering off path and going somewhere completely different. And we're like, how did I not get to this peak? And it's like, because we didn't follow the path. And our brand is very, very similar to that as well. So what is a brand anyways? I define it as your unique and ownable, identifiable representation of your product or service, which touches every part of your business and really encompasses everything that you do. But here's the thing, it really primarily lives in people's minds and hearts, right? This is that intangible piece. Why am I going to choose brand A over brand B? It's how it makes me feel. Does this look like it belongs in my life right now? And not just look, right? Like, one of the reasons why I wrote Branding Beyond Logos was because so oftentimes when we think of brand, we only think of a label. We only think of that packaging. And it is really everything that you do as an organization, how your customer service works, how you write emails, what type of social media channels that you choose to use, what stores you choose to be in. Your brand is the guiding star to everything that you do. And your design is a piece of it, yes, but really at the heart of it is what is that North Star that I want? And how do I stick to that path? And what emotion do I really want people to feel when they interact with my brand? And when we can define those things, it makes it a lot easier for people to say, that product, that brand is for me, because we are competing against a whole lot of different brands out there on the store shelf. So what we're going to really dive into today is finding your brand, owning your brand, and how do we protect your brand? So finding your brand is a lot like finding the perfect campsite, right? You know, there are so many options out there, And how do you actually select where you're going to set up camp? And that's the exact same thing with our brand. These pieces here, in terms of really understanding your goals, how do you want to make people feel, is a really big piece there. What type of impact do you want to have? Those type of goals are pieces that we want to look at. And then also we need to identify what we don't want, right? I don't want just another keto cookie that is targeted to tech bros, right? I don't want that. No, I want something completely different, right? We don't want more of that. So knowing what you do want, those goals that you have, and what you don't want, really key on the internal pieces for building your brand. And then the external piece that I actually see a lot of food and beverage brands skip over, and it's the most critical, is what is the market actually hungry for? Where is there actually a market gap for what it is that you are selling, right? I like to look at our 3 C's here: our category, our consumer, and our competition. When we look at the 3 C's and we find where there is truly a gap in the market, and then I like to overlay that gap in the market with the goals that you have for the impact you want to have with the business and the pieces that you don't want to see more of, that's when we actually find that perfect sweet spot of your brand, because it needs to connect with you as the founder, as the leaders in your organization, but it also needs to connect with the consumer. And quite honestly, I see a lot of emerging food brands. We focus really, really well on those internal pieces. We forget to make sure that the market is really hungry for what it is that you are putting out there. Because if there are dozens and dozens of cookies, keto cookies even, let's go even more niche, why are they going to choose your keto cookie? Right? Why are they going to choose that? And more often than not, it is not necessarily the product why they're going to choose you. Sometimes, yes, but like 9 grams of protein versus 8 grams of protein, that's not what's going to drive the majority of people to pick up your product. What is going to get them to pick it up is does this brand have the same values as me? Are they showing up like they are specifically for me? And then even if it has less protein, it feels like this brand gets me. And people are going to spend more for brands that get them, right? I always use the example of when we're building out our brand, think of the holidays. Think about the holidays and we are shopping for a number of people, and you see something and you're like, oh, my sister-in-law would love this, right? Because I don't know, maybe my sister is, all into like, I have one sister-in-law who's very like esoteric. She likes her moon signs and her crystals and everything like that. And then I have another, sister-in-law who is like very like efficient, focused. She's a lawyer. She's a corporate lawyer. She's like very straight and narrow. I could buy the exact same product, but if both brands, like product on the inside, if there's 2 brands that speak differently in terms of, oh, this hot cacao is going to help you connect with your inner self and get more out of what you're doing, and it goes really well with this sign and this sign, versus get the most out of your day with hot chocolate, is the exact same product on the inside, but it's going to connect very differently with people. And that's how we really want to look at our brand. We want someone to instantly say, this is for me, or this is for someone that I love. It's kind of a good lens to make it like that as well. So your brand really comes to life from, all of these different pieces here. It could be your values as a founder, right? Maybe I'm going to go on the example of the different hot chocolate brands, and let's have one like astrological moon signs, all of that type of piece. Like if those are my values as a founder, and I can have that show up, that's going to connect with like-minded people, right? So that is one area where we can get to our brand. Also our story, right? You all have a unique story behind why you started your business or why you are leading the company that you are leading right now. That story is a piece that can connect with people and drive them to want to, get behind your brand over everyone else's. Your process can be a piece, sometimes specifically in the food and beverage landscape, right? Some of you guys have some unique ways of doing things, maybe to make sure that you are preserving the highest nutritional content from what it is that you are serving. Great. That is going to really resonate with certain people. That is really, really key. And then really the personality of your business is a really big one as well, right? And who you service. So when we think about our brand, we really want to find what makes you unique, right? And again, this can't just be what makes you unique. And if the market isn't hungry for it, it really is, where is there a gap in the market? And how do you uniquely solve that and really own that? And that's another really big piece that I see, is that we don't own it. We want to own whatever it is, right? You want to lean into who your brand is across every single thing that you do, right? There can be all different types of campers in here, right? We could have like the traditional type camping. We could have, the nice cozy camping. We could have super adventure camping. I don't even know. This guy's just like no frills camping. Just like give it to me like it is, right? This type of camp setup, all of these different ones, it's going to be a different type of person who's going to go to all of them. I'm going to set up like that. But the key is that is also like your brand, but you want to lean into that across everything that you do. So it's not just our package, it's not just our label, it really is everything. And the more you can lean into what makes you different, what makes you unique, that emotional piece that you stand for, the more you are going to connect with people. This is where I actually see a lot of food founders get tripped up, because we get to a place of, well, everyone is going to love my product. And a lot of people are going to love your product, absolutely. But we want one group of people to never even question that this brand was made specifically for them. We want a group of people to think, oh my gosh, where has this brand been all my life? They actually get me. And we only get to that audience really truly believing that when you are really bold in how you show up for your brand. So if you're going to be this tech focused, brand, then you have to do that across everything. We can't go halfway down the path and then kind of veer to the right a little bit and then veer to the left and, not really make it really clear. You need to own it really, really solidly across everything so that it becomes a very clear yes, that this brand gets me to the consumer. And they don't need to question. They just know that that is how your brand shows up. So then if you are introducing new products, they know already, well, all of their products are always, fun and witty, or, have the highest level of integrity behind it. Consumers actually don't want to have to think about all of those pieces. This is why that brand trust piece is so key. Because if they can trust your brand and they only get to that by you showing up the same way over and over again, it makes it a lot easier for them to say yes, right? Think about people in your life, the people that consistently show up a certain way. You can rely on them for always showing up that way. They're not going to show up differently in person than on email versus or how they're going to show up at Christmas is different than how they're going to show up at Thanksgiving or just every day. No, people in our life that we trust the most show up consistently throughout everything. And our brand needs to be the same. And we do that by leaning in hard to the way that we want our brand to show up. And so sometimes, like, there is a saying in marketing and in brand building where it's like, you want to create lovers and haters. And you're like, hold on, I don't want anyone to hate my brand. What are you talking about? But for you to be able to really, truly create lovers in your brand, you have to stand for something so boldly that there's always polars. There's going to be people that also hate that, and that's okay. That's actually how we build really, really strong brands. When we take the vanilla, the really safe route down the middle, we become indifferent to people buying you. And that's not where we want them to be. We would rather people be a heck yes or a heck no when they're buying your brand, so that they know it is exactly for them, right? And then also with the brand, we need to bear proof our brand, guys. Just like if you were camping, you need to make sure that it is protected. We cannot leave food out. We cannot leave this just open to prey, right? We cannot have, or predators, we cannot have that, right? We need to bear proof our brand by having brand guardrails. So when I talk about brand guardrails and operating within them, we will always do this. We will never do this, right? We will always start off all of our emails with, hey, y'all. And we will always sign off as, catch you next time, right? Different pieces like that, right? How is your brand going to show up? What emotion do you always want to have, right? Do we always want people to feel empowered? Do we always want people to feel secure? Do we always want people to feel fun and uplifted? Those brand guardrails, how we always show up, protects your brand from new products entering the market. That is definitely a really, really big piece, because people know what to expect from you, right? And they also don't need to guess what to expect from you. It also makes internal decision-making a lot easier as well when you have very clear guardrails for your brand. You can get to heck yes, heck no decisions internally if you know what your brand stands for. If your brand is all about convenient, on the go, high protein, mom focused snacks, heck, these bears would also like that snack. If we know that guardrail, we are not going to waste our time on something low protein, on something that is not mom focused, right? On something that, if we always want to be empowering to that, or to that audience, or solutions oriented, we're not going to focus on products, decisions, marketing activities, retail locations, anything like that that does not align to that brand and where we want to go. So I really feel like when you are having these guardrails in your brand, it makes it easier for you as an internal organization to be much more efficient. And it makes it this protection piece around you from new entrants. And it makes it very, very clear from what your retailers can expect from you and what your consumers can expect from you. Consistency really is king for how we are going to show up. And we do that by having really clear brand guardrails. And then when we do all of this, when we build a really solid brand, we get some great badges of honors, right? We get to encourage shoppers. They will be willing to pay more from a brand that they know, like, and trust. And they do it day in, day out, right? We see premium price products out there that are able to command that price because they have a really strong brand that connects with people. And I say this is especially true for emerging brands. If you are in those early stages, you don't have actually the same cost efficiencies as a larger company, right? That maybe has their own manufacturing facility that is able to order in a much larger bulk order. We don't have those same cost efficiencies. So oftentimes our product is going to be more expensive. And if we are going to be more expensive, we have to look the part. We have to be a brand that conveys trust. We have to really have that stand out, and people will pay more for that. They absolutely will. When we do have a really strong brand, it also makes it much easier for retailers to say yes, to buy from you, because they can trust you. They trust that you are meeting a need. They see very clearly that you are going to connect with people, because they know that shoppers are coming into their store on autopilot. They're coming in on autopilot time and time again. What is going to make them pick a new brand, right? They're already buying cookies. Why are they going to buy a new cookie? Price is a piece, yes, but that's a losing game for everyone. The retailer would rather sell pieces at a higher price. Everyone would rather sell pieces at a higher price. They know what's going to stop people is having a brand that is going to really connect with people. So it makes it so much easier for retailers to say yes when we have a really solid brand, right? Less decision-making needed internally, and it protects you against new entrants to the market and really helps you sell more. People always come to me and they're like, Ainsley, should I focus in on building my brand from the beginning? Should I do it down the road? Or maybe some people that have been in market for some time and they're like, well, I'm doing okay, but I want to get to this next level. Like, do I need a rebrand? And I always come back to having a really strong brand makes selling easier to retailers and to consumers. It makes the entire process go a lot further because everyone assumes that we all have great products on the store shelf. The piece that really sets you apart is having that really strong brand. That is the piece that is going to allow you to stand out and make it so much easier for people to see why you in their pantry shelf, why you in their fridge, why you over everyone else. And to do that, we need to connect with them on an emotional level. And we connect with people on an emotional level by standing for something really boldly and doing that consistently over and over and over again throughout everything that we do. So that is, I know we kind of like whirlwind through that. We could go and talk about this for an entire day. But, the recap of building a really great brand, finding your perfect place in the market. So remember our 3 C's are category, consumer, and competition, to make sure that the market is hungry for what you have to offer. And then pairing that with your goals that you want to have, your values, and making sure that maybe it's filling a gap that you see in the market, right? We want to own our brand across everything that you do. Each and every single thing, your brand guides every decision in your organization. And we need to bear-proof our brand. And we do that by being consistent over and over again with all of the different pieces and making sure that you stick within your brand guardrails. And doing all of this will allow you to sell more, charge more, and do it all with more ease. So that's it, everyone. Strong brands equals happy campers. And I hope that this has helped you understand how you can build a really strong brand and be able to set yourself up from all of the competitors in the market.
Awesome. Great job. This was awesome, Ainsley. Thank you for that. We do have a couple of questions for you. They are rolling in.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'll challenge you because we have a bunch. So I'll challenge you to keep the answers snappy. We've got looking for advice on overlapping target markets. Annie is a baker who does fully gluten-free and vegan treats. Lots of people may need to eat gluten-free or vegan, but she doesn't know how to reach those very niche subsects of customers. So how do you recommend getting in front of a very narrow customer?
Yeah. So very narrow customer actually makes it easier in a lot of ways, because you can be very specific and it makes it very clear why you over everyone else. For you, if you have some gluten free, we have some different allergen pieces, some vegan. If I were going into that with the product, I would focus in on something along the lines of like, if you are struggling to find a product to meet your very specific needs, we have you covered. And then you have this kind of umbrella type piece that covers, you're struggling to find something very specific, we offer this very specific piece. Then whether it's vegan, whether it's certain allergies, whatever that may be down the road, you can cover all of those pieces. But your target audience is someone who has specific needs. That's who they are versus gluten-free or vegan.
Amazing. Sally has a very niche audience as well in a small population, local residents. She's in Hawaii. Local residents are her bread and butter, but many are put off by her vegan and gluten-free labels. So some similar situation here. She's trying to make food that's not obviously vegan or gluten-free, so still tastes good. And the vast majority of her clients are neither vegan or gluten-free. How does she attract her core customers without alienating the people that she relies on to make this a business? She said, some people care that she's vegan, some people don't care that she's vegan. Like, how would you approach that?
Yeah. So it sounds like actually the majority of your people are not, from what you said, vegan or gluten-free. So, I mean, if your audience doesn't care as much about that, actually wouldn't focus in on that, right? It comes back to that gap in the market and what you want to put out there. So it doesn't sound like that's actually what the majority of people are coming to you for. You actually have a really unique lens, though, if the majority of people aren't. And if you do want to continue down, going back to your goals that you want to put, if you're like, no, I want to see more options like this, you have a really unique opportunity to focus in on so good, even non-vegans like this, right? Everyone just has this old, 5 years ago, vegan gluten-free products weren't that delicious. For sure. We all know that. They kind of sucked, for sure. So if it's good enough to attract people that are non-vegan, non-gluten-free, that is a stamp of approval. Absolutely. That's a very high stamp of approval that will get people.
Yeah, good call. What about the sunk cost fallacy, or not being afraid to try something new and pull back on if it's not working? How would you respond to someone who's thinking about making a brand change and wants to test it out but isn't sure about how to go about testing?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I'll keep it short and sweet, but I will say a couple different things on it. So I always like to encourage people, have you really given it your all? And really truly look at how you've operated. Have I really truly given it my all with, let's say I'm focused in on, I don't know, high efficiency. I don't know why this is in my brain, high efficiency today. I don't know. It was that camper van with all the like tech stuff set up in it. If you really truly believe and know that you have been showing up really truly deeply in that way, and it has not been resonating, then I would come back to the drawing board and reassess. I always say, talk to your target audience, right? So get feedback from your audience. Always, always, always. They happily will share this with you. And if you're like, hey, I'm just starting out, I don't have a target audience, go get curious where you think that your audience might be. Go lurk in Facebook groups, go sit down. When I launched my coffee company, I had a coffee company that was specifically for people who drank their coffee black. I sat down with black coffee drinkers and just talked to them about coffee over and over and over again so I could understand them. So don't be afraid to talk to your customer. I will say, if you have been in market for some time and you do have good brand recognition, then we typically don't want to do a completely 180. It's probably some small tweaks to actually hone in and make it stronger. Because if you are recognized in the market, we don't want to lose those people who already know, like, and trust you. So sometimes it's just refining it. If I've been going a little bit into this, wellness mom, maybe I'm actually not leaning in hard enough, right? Like maybe I've been kind of tiptoeing in because maybe I don't want to offend the like non-wellness mom. I want them to also be okay. No, like fully own it. And then if you're talking from like a marketing perspective or anything like that, I always say go all in, give it your all for 3 months and then come back and reassess for anything that we're doing in business, whether that be a new marketing channel, whether that be a new sales channel, or really make sure we're not just posting on Instagram, making sure we are like really learning how to maximize Instagram, do that really hard for 3 months and then recognize, is that working or not? But I do like to give at least a quarter time period to come back and reassess.
Yeah, that's smart. Three months is that gives you at least enough time to really make sure that you're getting in front of people enough for them to have an opinion and then understand what that opinion is of whatever change you're making. All right, we do have some questions that we're not going to be able to get to. Ainsley, if someone wants to chat with you or has a last question for you, how can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can throw my contact information in there, but you can reach me at Ainsley at healthyfoodandbeveragegroup.com. You can also reach me via text or phone. I'm at 1-833 on shelf. And I'm on Instagram at Ainsley Moir. So you can find me there. It's AINSLEY MOIR. You can find me there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ainsley.